So we're going to talk about trust accounting today, and I think that that's probably one of the most sought after topics at the Law Lab. It is a topic where you will find if you've got your first attorney client, you're probably aware of it and a little nervous about it. You want to make sure you do it properly for the client. Trust accounting is a critical pillar in any legal practice. And we're holding up that law firm's integrity and ethical standards when we take care of the trust accounting for them. Many times they come to us and they've tried to do it themselves, maybe in a spreadsheet. So it's a good question to ask when you get to meet with the attorneys. But we need to be able to understand the nuances of trust accounting because it's not just about compliance, it's also legal mandates. And you really need to look up for your state where the specific rules are for your client. This is something that your client will be able to answer, but you really want to stay on top of it because rules change. Sign up. I know last year we had California made a major change in their accounting for it, and that ended up giving us an influx of calls because attorneys really weren't paying attention to it, I guess, that well, especially the solos. And they came to us in a bit of a panic because they needed it fixed or they needed it rebalanced. So really knowing the legal mandate for your specific area where your attorney is practicing more than where you live. If you are a cloud accountant and you work, for example, with Washington State, I need to know the rules in Washington State. If you're working in Oregon, you might want to know the rules that are specific to the county. It goes right down to the county in that state. So you really want to know those things. These are just some of the things you want to look at. So what are trust accounts? At its core, a trust account is a separate bank account, and it's a place where lawyers hold funds on behalf of their clients. The law firm doesn't own the funds. They're owned by the client, and they're held in a special bank account that really, they have a fiduciary responsibility to hold on to those funds, but they're not theirs. They're not theirs until it's earned. And once it's earned, there's an invoice created. We apply the amount of money to the invoice and give the client back on a proper accounting of these funds. So that's the distinction there. You want to make sure that you keep track of that. You also want to keep track of the fact that a trust bank account is separate from an operating bank account. These funds should never be commingled, and really that trust funds in the trust account are sacred. So we never want to have any issues at all with the money that's there. There should always be a proper workflow. Sometimes when you get a law firm's books and you open up the balance sheet and you start to look at the balances there, you might find that the total balance in the bank account does not equate to the total balance that's inside the trust liability account. So that's where the problem will lie, and that's where you need to be able to figure it out, where it last balanced, run that balance sheet. I start with all dates, then I total by years, designate the year where you see its balance, then really go from that year and open it up by month and track it that way. I think that's the best way to track it, so that way you can follow it. Obviously, I mentioned the legal and ethical obligations that are there, and the attorneys know this. They understand that. They know that there's strict regulations, and it's really by jurisdiction. We've got a great link. It's inside the Law Lab that you'll be able to follow. You can actually go state by state and look up the rules specific, or the page that you need to look, where you can really dig in and read these. You should read these by the area that you live in. You should know them inside out. The state of Florida, for example, is pretty complex. There's a lot of rules around it, and you want to know that. There's actually some pretty good information on the website for that. And the Bar Association for the state of Florida wants to help the attorneys keep track of this. And this is where we come in, right? This is our best place to help. So navigating the trust account is a balancing act. You need to find where it last balanced and then move forward from there. Now, oftentimes this may lead to the balance being off in the prior bank account, where the bank is balanced and reconciled, but the amount of money in the trust account does not equal the amount of money that's allocated to each client. When you find that out, if it's in a prior year where a tax return's been done, we actually pull the records out using the bank statements and reallocate them using spreadsheets and then make an adjustment in the current year if we find that maybe there were some funds that need to be moved over or funds that were not properly allocated. We have seen that happen where maybe things were booked in as income when they really weren't income. So you have to make those adjustments, and you make it in the proper year that you make the adjustments. So it's really critical that you follow the rules of accounting and track it so that it's tracked specifically for your client, where you're not disrupting a prior tax period that's been closed. So trust accounting is vital for a legal practice. It's demanding, it's unwavering attention. You have to really pay attention to detail. You can be that kind of bookkeeper or accountant that really likes to pay attention to the detail of the ins and outs of the funds and the ins and outs of the payments on the expenses and advanced client costs, which is why it makes it so valuable to be a legal bookkeeper or a specialist in this niche. The attorneys get busy. They want to practice law and not really have to track this. This is where we come in and we can help our clients grow their practices in a very profitable way. Hope this was helpful. If you want to join our Law Lab group, we'd love to have you. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more and stay in tune with more of the videos. Take care. Bye-bye.